Welcome back, folks. This is Todd Baxter, County Sheriff in the County of Monroe, Rochester, New York. Here to talk to you about our Undersheriff Korey Brown. He's our guest today, but my co-host, as always, is Tiz. How are you, buddy?
Oh, doing good, doing good.
Tisdale, good
back
to have you
again.
back.
Love being back in the saddle, as we said. Batman and Robin. We're back again.
Hey, listen, we're on opposite sides of the table now.
I know.
That means we got a special guest.
I did notice that Tiz is Batman.
He took over.
He said Batman and Robin. I'm just saying, I noticed, and you went with it. So
I
that's
didn't notice.
That's awesome. All right, nice job.
So Tiz's last episode with us. It's
Right.
good to have you here.
Sorry, Batman.
It only took 106 episodes of the Behind the
Oh,
Badge.
it's got to be Commissioner Gordon or something.
You're going to be
you're
commissioner
bad.
or something.
You're bad.
Commissioner or something. Hey, how about we just tell people this is Behind the Badge? I'm Todd Baxter, Monroe County Sheriff. We talk to people that are interesting and work with us in the sheriff's office and trying to identify who they are behind the badge, what they do, in real life, or people that support us. And today we got the undersheriff. But real quick, spring training
Hey,
done.
Steelers looking good.
I call this spring training my baseball days, but
Oh.
the preseason's up, huh?
Yeah.
Steelers
yeah,
looking good.
Steelers looking good. Might be a championship this year, so guys get ready.
That's
You know?
awesome. I'm sure.
So if you're calling a championship, what are you going to do if you don't win it?
Oh, I'll be very, very upset.
That's it?
That's it. That's it.
Got to get over it somehow. You know what I mean?
He's used to it.
Oh,
Lots of practice. Lots and lots of practice.
He's used to it. Now, if you don't know, Deputy Tiz has a great podcast about the Pittsburgh Steelers, one of the
Been doing it
premier
for a while.
football teams in the NFL, right?
doing it for a while. Still a Nation Live.
You
guys
and
check
Deputy
it out.
Owens, and it's got a
Yeah.
good thing going.
When did you start that?
It's been going for a while, probably like 2013. Going for a while and been doing good, getting a lot of visitors here and there. Traction is good. So there's a lot of other things going on in this too as well. And like you said, the sheriff had this one, and this idea blew up. I love the fact of this podcast. And like we said, the important thing is about letting other individuals out there know what's going on with the sheriff's department, who's behind the badge. I love that.
Yeah.
And, they don't know about the everyday guy that's here working and doing his thing, and they get to find out.
Yeah, that's the exciting part about it. And today we got the undersheriff. But question number one, suggested questions on my form here says, who is Korey Brown? I think that's a great question.
No one knows.
Good.
No,
With
so
the real
it's,
Korey Brown, please stand up.
Right.
it's funny. As you get older and you think about who you are, you think about what's important to you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as everyone knows, probably the most important thing to me is the grandkids.
Amen.
So I'm a grandfather, number one. Certainly, I have a wonderful wife that we've been married for 28 years. It just time's gone by in a blink of an eye, and she's just an amazing woman that is just a great love for the Lord and a great love for me. So that's the second thing would be a husband, I guess. And then
Yeah.
I have 3 wonderful kids. And then after that, after you look at your family and you look at, I'm a Christian man, a follower of Christ, and here to love others and help others and do what we can to make the world a better place. And I do that through my outlet of work, which is the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. So I'm certainly blessed to be Undersheriff of Monroe County. Never a goal of mine to be the Undersheriff. Still amazes me to this day that I'm here.
Yeah.
Just trying to do a good job and make it so that the deputies in this county, the tremendous deputies that we have, can do their job. So I'm here to support them. So I'm a supporter of the deputies, I guess would be the last
Yeah,
thing
that's a great
to
job
really
description
do.
right there. If you're thinking behind the badge and why the undersheriff's here, but supporter of the deputies, because we don't get anything done without them. Yeah, we choreograph the play. But Tiz, a lot of people think, I had this this mindset. I was going to run for sheriff, and I ran for, and if I win, Korey Brown's my undersheriff.
Right.
We've known each other since his first day of the academy. Never even. That can be further from the truth. It was going through this whole process. Actually, the undersheriff was helping me with the selection process for undersheriff, and helping me line up things and during the transition from winning the election to January 1st. And man, what a godsend that he became our undersheriff. What a godsend for me, because he's the opposite of me. I'm the visionary. He's the logical guy. We called him Spock the other day when I was talking on the phone because he's got that logic that I don't have. It makes a great team effort. It's a beautiful thing. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So thanks for joining us, by the way. Thanks for accepting the invitation 5.5 years ago, because we wouldn't be where we are today as a sheriff's office, that's for sure. Contract negotiations and counterpoints of my ideas and just thought out processes and taking care of the troops. That's what it's all about.
That is what it's all about. This is such a tremendous organization. It's got to be about taking care of the troops who will then take care of the community.
Right.
Right? I mean, that's why we're here, to keep the community safe, make it so people can go about their daily life.
Well, before you came on with the sheriff's department, like you said, you put in 21 years in Rochester Police Department. A lot of people don't know that, and so much stuff here to read out. We're talking offline about the background of you and the things that you've been involved with.
That's the list.
Yeah,
It's huge.
a huge list of things you've been involved with. So tell us a little bit about your time with RPD before becoming into the sheriff's.
Sure. I just go back a little further. I was blessed to be in the Navy from 1988 to 1994.
I'm going to leave that alone, but go ahead.
So many things to say, but I won't because it's a podcast. But just blessed. And I did nuclear power. And then I did electronics. And so I did all the electronics for the nuclear power. And then I got out. And due to different issues, I was living here. And I tried to get a job at Gannett, but they weren't hiring at the time. Or at least they weren't hiring me at the time. And I heard about police on the radio. And I thought, wow, that'd be a fun job. I think you could do a lot of good. And it'd be an exciting career. And I took the test. And I ended up getting hired by Rochester. So it wasn't a lifelong goal. It was just something that came up that I thought you can really make a difference. So I worked midnights for a while, and then I was blessed to be a school resource officer at East High School. So I worked at East High School for 5 years, and then I had the privilege of being a class counselor, which is such a blessing,
Yeah.
When I came on, the sheriff was my class counselor, but it's just such a
I had
terrific
his
job.
career in my hands at one time.
Oh, God.
Let it go.
Let it go.
And it's just a terrific opportunity to really help shape and mold the people that are coming on and just meet wonderful people that want to come on and do this job. And then I was promoted to sergeant, and then I worked in patrol, and then I got promoted to lieutenant, and then I was able to be a net lieutenant, and I had the opportunity to work in the chief's office. And then one of my goals when I started the job in the Navy, I did a lot of training, so I was able to come back and lead the professional development section, which is in charge of training and recruitment and background, so I did that for 5 years. And then I was blessed to get promoted to captain from there. I did staff duty for a short period of time. It's funny, I did the relief wheel, so I worked a third platoon shift, so I worked from 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 11 o'clock at night. Then the next day I came in and worked 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 11 o'clock at night, and then immediately did a first platoon shift from 11 o'clock at night to 7 o'clock in the morning, so that middle shift was 16 hours.
Ooh.
And then you come in the next night and work 11 at night till 7 in the morning. And it sounds bad, but you go to work 3 days a week.
Yeah.
So you're really almost on a 3-day on, 3-day off schedule. You only have to leave your house 3 days. It was a terrific shift.
Yeah, staff duty is a great position, too, because you're the overnight watch commander, if you will, right? The
Right.
chiefs are all gone, and so you own the city. You're operational control of the city, but no one works for you. You got no manpower, right? You got no
Right.
personnel complaints. So you had the operational control, but, all the other issues that come with leadership sometimes were cast upon someone else. I absolutely love that job, staff duty. It was fun.
And it's one of the few jobs when you go home as a captain, you turn your phone off. You're not on call. You're not responsible for anything going
Right.
on the day because anything that happens, you just turn it over to the captain that they work for. So it really was a great job. And then I was a captain of Clinton section, which I truly loved that job. There's so many wonderful people that live in Clinton section and being able to help the community there. And then I went to research and evaluation to help out Chief Simonelli. And while I was there, it was funny, I really got my eyes more open to the budget of the city police department and contract negotiations. We started contract negotiations, and we're in the middle of them, and we didn't get them settled while I was there. But it showed me what contract negotiations are like. And then coming as undersheriff, those are two huge things.
Yeah.
The budget every year, it's a huge budget, right? $150 or $160 million. And then contracts. When we first got here, two, including the court bureau, right? 2 bureaus were out of contract for 5 years. And the sheriff and I were able to get them settled in a couple of months.
Yeah, just like what the sheriff said, I give you that. I mean, that's a lot to handle. A lot of money, a lot of avenues, a lot of complexities involved in it. And you've done it. And the training, more or less, you got a lot of it in detail from the police department.
Yeah, it was just, I was able to learn from Mike Simonelli, the chief at the time, and just how to do budgets and how to do contract negotiations and what you're looking for. And it's got to be a win-win, right? We want deputies to be paid fairly. We want them to get what they should be getting because they certainly earn it. And we also want management rights to make sure we can make the organization run. So we've been blessed to settle 4 contracts now early,
Right.
which is unheard of in law
Yeah,
enforcement.
total of 6 and 4 done before the expiration of them. Yeah, and that's huge for the deputies and even the civilian staff to understand that they have pay raises coming and what their health insurance is going to look like for the next few years. They're making decisions upon retirement possibly. Having that information on hand with a signed document makes you a more productive employee. You got a little more productive at home, too, because you can figure out where your future is. So undersheriff, I go back and tell the story. So I get elected sheriff, and Korey Brown, who is a friend of mine, sitting right by my right-hand side, helping me out with the transition plans, helping me out with everything. And we're going through this undersheriff selection process, right? And and names are coming forward. We're setting up interviews, and I was asked, do you think about Korey Brown? I'm like, geez, I feel kind of bad. I probably should give him an interview, right? I'm like, I don't know if he's even interested. So I call him and, you interested? Yeah, I'd love to do an interview for him. Like, probably should have asked that a couple months ago. I bring him in for this interview, and Cedric Alexander, former chief here, now in charge of Minneapolis. The door doesn't even slam shut, and he goes, "There's your number 2 right there." And I was like, "Is that profound?" But we rolled the picture January 1. There it is. That's us about 3 o'clock in the morning qualifying with our new weapons out going into the jail January 1, a little after midnight. So it's been a great team effort. Really, really appreciate being undersheriff. I remember getting here. We're still trying to figure out what the hell the term undersheriff means. What's that? What's an undersheriff? Seriously, it's the word oddest title you can come up with. But in addition to contract negotiations and all this stuff, the budget you run, you're a right hand thinking person for me. You're the opposite of what I think, which is huge and beneficial. You're not a yes person by any means. The other benefit is you're a good Christian man. And I know what comes out of your mouth is your honest opinion. So I ain't got to worry about what I say to you, and you ain't got to worry about what you say to me. That's a blessing. I've been a leader for many, many years. Our command staff here, I'm not blowing smoke. It is the best experience I've ever had leading an organization. Our chief deputy, our undersheriff, our superintendent, our other 2 chiefs, our commander. I could walk away right now, and this place would run just fine.
I think just being able to have open, honest conversations. Yeah. I remember one time you said to me, well, you've mentioned it 4 times, so I guess we got to go back and talk about that again. But that's the kind of relationship we have, that when it's closed doors and we can have honest conversation and disagree, and then because that's what you want, right? Who wants yes people? I know what Korey Brown thinks. I don't need to hear what I think. I already know what I think. Yeah. I want to hear what other people have to think and what am I messing up. So we're able to have the conversation. And we're also blessed in that we have the same goal as far as we want to treat the community right. We want to treat deputies right. We have the same goal like that, but we think differently in a lot of things. So we're able to combine that to really, if you've ever asked a sheriff to do math, he just says, I went to Jefferson. That's the only thing that he says.
For all of my fellow statesmen and women out there, what I meant to say was.
But it's just funny. We just think differently.
Right? Not Franklin.
Our minds just think differently. So we really work together well with that.
Go ahead, Tiz. No, you go
ask you, like, what do you enjoy most about your role as being undersheriff?
Days off.
County. Doing media releases when I'm not here.
No, I think really just trying to make a difference. So when I'm in contract negotiations, I'm always thinking I want to help the deputies get what they should be getting. But I also want to make sure that we're getting what we need so that we can successfully run the organization. So different things will come up and you're really able to help a certain group of people. We just settled the court contract. I really feel like it was a good, fair, honest contract. Mm-hmm. And so I feel good about that. I enjoy doing that part of it. Right. I wish there wasn't a contract every year because there's so many unions. But I enjoy taking care of the troops one way or another. I don't love giving news conferences. That's what I said, that the sheriff and I complement each other well. He likes doing that. So it's a good thing. So he does that, and I know I don't have to. I don't mind being a behind-the-scenes guy. Right, I like to get things done. Right. He says he comes up with ideas, and I'm the one that follows up and then tries to make sure that everything's getting done across all the bureaus and that we're using resources as we need to across all the bureaus and trying to keep as much out of the sheriff of what he needs to do so he can go about his vision and do that while I try to get the nuts and bolts done. So, and we work together well that way.
Yeah, it's perfect. Like I said, a blessing. The whole command staff, let alone the undersheriff, and taking care of the troops. We ran a campaign on that. Take care of the troops, they'll take care of everything else. And that 90% of the time that happens with no issues because, you're setting them up for success as opposed to having them worry about where the next contract is or what the budget looks like. Let's just not gloss over, and I know we bust chops being an Army guy and you being a Navy guy, we bust chops about the Navy, and I think you say often that I failed the ASVAB. That's how I had to go in the Army. I just sharing it with all my Army friends that you say those things, but
it's true.
It's true. But let's not gloss over that title you had in the Navy, nuclear reactors. That's intimidating. That's pretty cool. Why don't you tell the folks just a little bit about that experience? What'd you do for the Navy?
Sir, so in order for a lot of the ships, right, are nuclear powered, so they have to get people to operate the ship. So you can do one of 3 things. You can be an electronics technician and work on all the electronics. You can be an electrician and work on the wiring and all of that, or you could be a machinist mate. So those are your 3 options. So I got electronics technician. It was a 28-week A school. My mind kind of thinks that way. So we started with 30 people and we ended with 10.
Wow.
So we lost 66% of the people in A school. And it was the longest one. So the other schools were only, I think, 16 weeks and 10 weeks.
Right.
But then you do a 6-month nuclear power school where they teach you how nuclear power works, right? How the power plant works and all of that. And so a lot of the electricians and the machinist mates, they lost a lot of people in that school. But the electronics really lost all those people ahead of time. You know, I tell people all the time that it's December and everyone gets leave at the same time. So you go to school till, Wednesday afternoon, and then they're like, all right, you're free Wednesday afternoon. You can fly home for Christmas and New Year's, and then you got to come back. So my nuclear power instructor, he came in that day, he goes, I realize you're going on leave in 2 hours, and you're not going to listen to anything I'm going to tell you. So I'm going to teach you how to make a nuclear bomb. And he just started right from the beginning. And it's related to nuclear power, right?
Right.
But what the differences were, he had everybody captivated for 2 hours.
Wow.
Because it was so interesting just to hear that perspective and how you do that.
Yeah, the technology is incredible, but you don't think about what moves an aircraft carrier, right? And how does it sustain that, or a sub that, doesn't have those traditional power systems. But it's an amazing process, the engineering mindset, if you will. So thanks for sharing that. The Navy. Okay, we'll talk about Army Navy football games maybe at the end. I know you're a Steelers fan, but listen, come as undersheriff. We have the first 2 years like, wow, this is pretty cool. I came from Greece, which was a very difficult place when I got there. Great cops, but there was a time of corruption when I got there. It was 1/10 of the size of the sheriff's office. We come here, it's 10 times the size. We have a good thing going. We have a really good thing. And then this thing called reforms. So all these criminal justice reforms came down the I-90 corridor at warp speed. 5 huge reforms threw us in chaos. COVID. Civil disorder.
Yeah.
I mean, this is all 1 year. It's literally coming in 1 year. And I put those in sequence because that's how they occurred. A lot of people want to argue is that COVID caused all this dysfunction we're seeing in the community. It didn't help. It was a perfect storm. But these reforms occurred way before that. And, it just is undersheriff where you sit right now. Our job is public safety. What would be the number one thing you think that we could fix? And this is your answer. If we're not, I wouldn't say fix. What should we adjust right now? What could we make ourselves better or safer? Because right now it feels like chaos out there, right? We got cops running around just grabbing 600 guns a year. We've done stolen vehicle details the last couple of weeks and just knocked it out of the ballparks, recovering Kias and bad guys with Kias.
Right.
And so we're doing our part, but it seems like if you were the grand poobah of public safety, what would be the number one thing you could do to help address public safety?
Sure. I think the number one thing you could do is keep violent people in jail. A classic example would be last week or the week before now, where we had somebody that used an illegal gun that was on parole to murder someone, and he was let right back out because the murder charges weren't lodged yet because the illegal weapon charge wasn't good enough. So if you're carrying an illegal weapon, you should not go to jail and be let out 6 hours later. I don't care what reason you're carrying an illegal weapon. Because why are you carrying it? Even if you take that away and you say, all right, well, they're carrying the illegal weapon because they're scared and they're doing it for safety. Okay. What did you do in that 6 hours to help their safety? Absolutely nothing.
So they got to carry again.
So they're going to go back out and get another gun, and then they're going to end up shooting someone or getting shot.
Right.
So if you commit a violent crime, like criminal possession of a weapon, you need to be housed in jail, at least for a time. And then we could have... we can have people come in and talk to you. We can have you be evaluated. We can have someone come in and say, all right, this is why he was carrying the gun. It was because he was scared. So these are the protections we're putting in place. This is what we're doing for the family. And we're good. And we're going to be watching and working with him and his family. Okay, great. Or you're just a violent career criminal carrying an illegal gun, and you should not be let right back out because you're going to go out and do violent things. So we need a dangerous standard. We need to say that Korey Brown is too dangerous to be put back on the street. I know we didn't have it before. So what? We'll stop looking backwards. Let's just stop where we are right now and look forward. So if we look forward, how do we fix some of the crime we're doing now? And some of the ways we do that is by stop letting violent people get back out of jail. Another thing we could...
I'm sorry to cut you off. I just want to illustrate that there's so much time, energy, risk in grabbing that guy with the gun. It's not just like they happen to end up in the backseat of a police car, right?
Right.
There's car pursuits. There's arguments. There's wrestling matches. There's uses of force with a guy with a gun, an illegal handgun, right? I'm risking everything to take that guy into custody. And if you're not even going to intervene in that damn guy's life, what is the point for the deputy or the officer? They're scratching their head going, I'm risking everything, not just my life, but all it takes is one video of me hitting this guy, and it can be perfectly justified, but it's on CNN possibly next day, and I got to go through all that junk, all because no one will actually take care of this. We've done our job, and
Right.
I say it all the time. We just need some backup. The cops need some backup now. But I cut you off, Undersheriff. You had a good thought.
But
I'm
I mean, you think about how many times we deal with somebody multiple times, and then something happens. Well, it shouldn't be, right? We should have to deal with them one time. The police did their job. They dealt with somebody one time. Now we got to start stepping in and making sure that the police don't have to deal with them again.
Yeah,
But we don't. We put them right back out.
And that whole thing, it affects everything else because it affects, manpower. Because people, like you said, that officer says, I can be on CNN. My career could be over. My family life can be over. And because of changes that are not being made, and like you said, if you're putting 100% into it and you're getting 20 from the other side, what could you do?
Right. Yeah. Just to illustrate and emphasize the point. So within 3 short years, you had reforms to marijuana law, which may or may not be justified. That's not our job. But the fact is, we still don't have one legal store open in Monroe County 3 years later, right? That causes chaos in the community. It causes violence in the community. Tony Mazurkowitz, murdered during the marijuana investigation, right? The violence that went along with marijuana. That's totally unacceptable, that we can't get our ducks in the right order. You have HALT Act, which doesn't affect a lot of people, but if you work inside the jail, that's bail reform for jail, right? People that are violent inside jail against other inmates, we can only detain them in special housing for 15 days. Then you got to let them out. What are they going to do? They got nowhere to go. You can assault a deputy or assault another person. What's the point? You can only go back in for 2 more days, right? That's it. There's no penalties for misbehavior. You got bail reform. We got raise the age, and then you have parole reform with less is more. Man, all 5 within everything I just said, huge. Each one of them is a huge adjustment to criminal justice reform by themselves, let alone 3 years. Those all came down the pipe. It causes chaos in the community, and I don't think there's any way to sugarcoat that. It doesn't mean any of those were wrong. It just means you need to look at them, and Undersheriff says it all the time. Go back in any plan. Go back and evaluate, and make it just a little bit better. That's all. It's not that they were wrong. It's what plan is ever implemented.
Every problem-solving matrix that people use ends with analysis.
Right.
Analyze what you've done and then make changes. They all say that. So
Except
for
Albany.
these major ones.
Except Albany.
Right.
And we didn't even address the repeat offender for the people that are going onto these big box stores and constantly stealing day after day after day after day, that have 4 or 5 larceny warrants, that are just killing the box stores, which are then raising prices for everyone else. And so the box stores have raised their limit before they even call the police now.
I thought crime data was going down. That's what I'm told. Stats are going down. We know it's underreported. We joke about that. Recidivism rates. Well, anybody released under bail reform only repeats and is only violent, 8% of the time, I think one of the reports were. All right, first of all, that's hundreds of more victims at 8%. You can't put a number on it, right? You got to talk about people. That's 800 new people of victims of violent crime. But the other side of it, we know those are underreported, because how many times does a criminal go out and repeat an offense before we catch them the second time? Do we really think we're that good? We caught them the first time they reoffended when they left jail? Come on. That's not even realistic. That's a skewed data set right off the bat.
People are just not calling the police. They're getting robbed and not calling the police.
Oh, why?
And so how are we tracking that? So it doesn't matter what got us here. We're here. How can we make the community safer? That should be what everybody is thinking. How can we make the community safer? We cannot forget the victims. The victims have to have a voice, and that seems to be the voice that we're not listening to. So how do we listen to them? And what can we do just to make the community safer?
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Yeah.
So, Tiz, when you're Undersheriff, how will you do it better?
Hey, he spoke true words, true words. But you know what? It's one thing that I actually did want to get to, and I know it's it's on a personal.
It's good to know.
A Batman, remember? No, but
I'm sorry, you want to be sheriff.
Be Undersheriff.
He wants to be sheriff. He's going to be sheriff. Good one.
now at a personal level. Now I know you have 4 beautiful grandchildren, right? If I believe it's 4.
Yes, 4 beautiful grandchildren.
Yep. And your grandson Joel, 5 years old, diagnosed with cancer twice. And, that's something that we spoke offline about, and just to touch base a little bit on what you know is called CURE, an organization.
Yeah, so my grandson Joel, when he was 4 months old, was diagnosed with a neuroblastoma. And then because of the treatment from that, the following year he was diagnosed with leukemia. They call it secondary leukemia because he got it from the treatment.
There's the young man.
So throughout all of that, my daughter spent, I don't know, probably a total of 14 months at the hospital. And one of the organizations was Cure Childhood Cancer, a local non-for-profit that just helps families deal with children that have cancer. Because as I tell people all the time, childhood cancer really doesn't mean that much to you until it means absolutely everything to you. So, but they're there to do all the little things, right? So when you're in the hospital every day for 6 months, your grass still needs to be cut. So they'll send somebody out to cut your grass, or your furnace needs to be cleaned. Or when you are at the hospital, it costs $6 a day to get parking. $6. Wow. So when you staying there, right? So Bree and Gavin, her husband, their parking was free. But anybody that went to visit them for the 6 months they were there, it was $6 a time. So they give out parking passes. They just do all the other things so you can really focus on what you're dealing with and the tragedy that you're dealing with. So they're just a tremendous organization that is. You don't know where to go. You don't know what to do when you're told your child has cancer. So they're there to show support and point you in the right direction. And there's so many people in that community who have dealt with it already, whose children have had cancer. So they just do such a tremendous job of supporting those families that are dealing with this tragedy. And so every September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And so, a few years ago, I tried to think of how I could try to do something to give back to Cure.
Right.
And so I run a 5K every day, and I highlight a different child every day who's either had cancer or passed away from cancer or is recovering from cancer, and ask for donations to Cure because the families need it, right? These are little warriors.
Yeah. Yeah, they're precious. And rolling some B-roll here of Channel 10 supporting last year. Jen Lukey came out and did a story, and then they all came out and ran. It was one of your 5Ks in September.
Yeah.
And the telethons, and it's a beautiful organization. There's so many good people in this community.
Oh my goodness!
We're just talking about some of the negative with criminality.
Right.
I always say that's probably 400, 500, 600 people at best causing all this chaos in our community, and we can't address them. That's another story. But when you look at the totality of 750,000 people living in this community, and then the people that help, like Cure. Being a survivor myself, I couldn't have done it without another male to talk to. Going through prostate cancer, guys don't like to talk about this stuff, right? But when you have other survivors or other people going, you can have these conversations, and we're loaded with
and we didn't even talk about
people.
Golisano Children's
Oh my
Hospital.
God!
I mean, they were just phenomenal. Incredible. They were just so incredible every day. The doctors were tremendous. The nurses were tremendous. It was just incredible. The work that they do every day, and they're dealing with these kids all the time. And
you talk about that vicarious trauma, right? I mean, they're absorbing this every day. That's incredible. Great human beings, and we should never gloss over that there's way, way, way more good people in this community, in every community. We got a great country. We like to talk about these presidential elections coming up, and make fun of these candidates, and my candidate's the best, your candidate sucks. But at the end of the day.
Just great human beings.
I looked at a story from Haiti yesterday. They gunned down a church because they were anti-violence. They were praying the Lord's prayers and trying to fight violence. And their church, at least we don't have that going. I mean, we got mass shootings. We just had another racist, out of control shooting down in Florida, and that's never. I'm not saying that is bad, right? But at the end of the day, we're going to move forward as a country. We're going to try and make ourselves better. And we're going to never condone that, and we're going to move. But there's a lot of good in this country too, and with all the suckiness that we have to deal with, in particular in our job description, we got to remember those people from Cure.
Oh, and they're just great people, and the people that work at the hospital are great people, and there's just the community's just incredible, and they're giving, and it really is just incredible. So we're lucky to live in this community. We're lucky to have the people we have. And God has certainly blessed my family with Joel coming through this cancer, and he's just doing wonderful now.
Yeah, causing chaos.
He does cause a little chaos.
Little boys that age should be causing chaos, so he's doing exactly what his job description is right now. Cause a little chaos and make you smile and make you scratch your head like, I can't believe what he's doing or what he just said. Right? It's a beautiful thing. What's his? I mean, you got.
I got. Let me see. 1, 2. Carry the 1. I got 12 grandkids.
Think about that.
Yeah, I told them we're trying to start another NBA team, and I'm ready.
Are you ready, Coach?
I like it.
Let me in, Coach.
Hey, the coach.
That will be a full-time job.
Right.
Right after Undersheriff, right?
Being a grandfather is it's just such a wonderful thing. I mean, because you can pretty much just give the kids whatever they want, and then when it's time to go, you go home.
Yeah,
Say good luck with that.
Last thing,
Bye.
looking at the picture Mary sent me today of our beautiful granddaughter, right? It's just send a picture. That's all I need once a day.
So when I open up my phone, I see my grandkids jumping in a pool. I mean, it just puts everything in perspective. That
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
right, we're here for family. We're here to support each other, and
Tiz, you got a lot of perspective. 12. Holy,
Oh yeah. I do.
oh my goodness. That's incredible. Tiz, I'm all messed up. I can't see the clock.
Oh,
I can't see the
it's
clock.
about that time.
About that
It's
time?
time.
About no Miranda time? You got any questions for the Undersheriff on no Miranda
Yeah,
zone?
let's do it, Miranda.
Yeah. I'm going to answer the first one. Pizza.
Okay.
If you asked him what his favorite food would it be pizza. So I got that one knocked out of the way. So you're up.
What do you got next?
What do you got next? That was easy.
What's your favorite book?
my favorite book, well, obviously other than the Bible. So I'll tell you this: the book I just read, and so I was a stockbroker in between when I came.
Man, how many
The
jobs?
things
have
you
you
didn't
When I
know.
got out of the Navy before I came here, but I just read
Undersheriff cannot keep a job.
I read a book called Debunkery. And so when you hear about the stock market, everything is different, all of this. So it just goes through and it debunks all these myths.
Right.
So it's just a tremendous book to really give yourself some calm to say, all right, everyone says that this is the first time it's ever happened, and it's
Yeah.
not.
Nothing.
So obviously there's great leadership books. But the last book I read was Debunkery.
So I'm listening on a book on tape, if you will, for lack of a better term. Ronald Reagan did a diary entry every day he was president. Didn't do it before.
Wow.
And I don't know if he did it after, but it's been published, and it's absolutely fascinating because you recognize everything. El Salvador, right, and Honduras means nothing if you're young. You have no idea what it is, but it's leading into Iran-Contra. It's leading to Ali North, and you can see it progressing, right? And when he's shot,
Wow.
just how he felt in the back of that limousine while he thinks he's got back pain, spasms from being thrown into the car, and he's on his way to the White House, and they get him to the hospital and rip his shirt open, and you got a gunshot wound, right? And just fascinating. But I was listening with Mary the other day, my wife, and she's like, we're talking about the same thing then, and we're talking about today. I mean, nothing changed, right? The things they were talking about in the '80s are the same problems we're talking about today, right? That was fascinating. That was fascinating. So I can't ask you a no Miranda zone because I don't have one on the top. You got another one? I've been dying to ask him for years,
Real
too.
quick, what's your favorite ice cream?
Oh, all of it.
All of it.
I'm not a huge ice cream person, but black raspberry.
Black raspberry. It's a little Baskin Robbins or something.
Whenever
like
that's
that.
on the...
Well,
Whenever that's on. Although I
favorite-
really love vanilla from Pittsburgh Dairy also.
Favorite marathon you ever ran?
It's got to be New York.
Yeah, it's great.
It's just so exciting to see the
5
people
boroughs.
out all over. And, when we ran, we were able to join the NYPD running club.
Yeah.
And so I did it a few times, and the first time I did it, I was not in the best shape. And so I was starting to walk, and you hear from the crowd as I'm running, "Let's go, NYPD, stop walking." And you're like, oh, I got to
represent 30,000 cops in New York City.
So it's just,
Right.
it was a tremendous marathon.
I'm running a New York City Marathon. We're running together, and out in front of me is a guy dressed up as a banana, full size. I mean, the banana's
What?
3 feet over, and another
You
guy
mentioned
dressed
in front of us, right?
Yeah, and another guy dressed as a Statue of Liberty. He's running as a Statue of Liberty, bigger than him. These costumes, right? I'm like, how in the heck is this banana guy beating me right now? Like, what the frick? He's got 40 pounds of equipment on
And
him.
he's pulling away.
And he's pulling away. Like, get in
I
shape.
should have trained harder.
The banana guy.
The banana guy's in front of me. I think he beat me. Cincinnati, that's a good one. Thought it was flat.
We did think it was flat. We went to the Cincinnati Marathon. We thought it was flat. Cincinnati's
Midwest,
not
it's
flat,
gotta
in
be
case
flat,
you don't
right?
know.
What part? Oh, you said Cincinnati.
Right in Cincinnati.
in the city.
And then we did one of my favorite races because I like to eat, unfortunately. And the Heiner Trail Race in Pennsylvania, they had so much food afterwards. Like everyone from the town brings in like homemade baked desserts.
What?
And they have pizza and chicken. I mentioned pizza and homemade desserts. I ate so much food. It was a 16-mile, 4,000 feet of elevation gain. I think I outate my calories.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was a good one. That one, you're on all fours during a race. I mean, you're literally on all fours going up a mountain, sliding down a little.
What?
Back. Yeah, it was very.
It was an awesome race.
It's a good race if you ever want to get into an adventure race.
And then the Out of Bounds, they do a tremendous job, the Muddy Sneaker and Out of Bounds. But the
Yeah.
Out of Bounds half on Bristol Mountain, we got done with that. I may have eaten the chicken down to the bone. And I look up and like people are looking at me because I'm like cleaning this because I was starving. They're like, "What are you doing with that chicken?" I'm like, "I'm eating."
I'm eating. Corey's hungry. Okay. I think with that, we're going to call this episode, right? Undersheriff, a blessing having you here is the right-hand man, for lack of a better term. This is definitely a team effort. Our command staff, we got wonderful people like Tiz. We got a maid here. This is a tough job by any means. A lot of moving parts. You take 1,200 employees, throw in 800 incarcerated people. That's 2,000 people.
Right.
We're sitting here taking care of every day.
The people we have working.
Oh
with
my
us
God,
are just
incredible, isn't it? It's not
Just
cliche.
every day, and you hear new things, and you see new things, and the things they do on their time off, and what they do while they're working, and the caring that they do. It's just incredible. We really do work with just tremendous people, and so I think it's an honor to try to make sure that they get what they need so that they can do the job. And we didn't even talk about the deputy wellness program we started.
Yeah.
It's just
Oh my
phenomenal
goodness.
because people deserve it. And
Cutting
it's a
edge
hard
stuff
job.
there. And that's what's exciting about being sheriff. You got this opportunity to move an organization to a whole new level, right? So ROCTAC, first threat management team in New York, now being replicated throughout New York State, right? The REOC, the Regional Investigation Operation. This is a game changer getting ready to unfold right in front of us. This is proactive, leaning forward police work. The morphing of the court bureau into the jail bureau with the two, right? And providing all those opportunities and
certified.
Getting certified, and the civil bureau moving. I mean, all these things seem, there's a lot of work behind the scenes. They just rolled out our new website today. I don't know if you've seen it yet, Tiz. This thing is sharp. Wait till you see this. This is gonna
incredible.
be, you're gonna be
They did a
proud.
tremendous
You're gonna be going home and turning it on just for fun. Look at this. It just shows a website can do a lot of powerful things for communicating with the public, let alone our own staff. Been a lot of fun. So
We're just blessed to be here. I mean,
yeah, absolutely, we are, and that's the way I think it's cool that we're sheriff and undersheriff, but we're blessed to be here. So with that, Tiz, if you're done, grilling the undersheriff and trying to get him on the spot so he can have his job.
Seems like an all right guy.
when do you start as undersheriff?
When do you start?
I just need to know when my last day is.
We got to look up the term undersheriff on time.
Yeah, I figured that one out. I still haven't figured that one out. Like, what, under who, what, when? Who is this? Folks, I have no idea what to say after that. So we'll leave it at that. Till next week, everybody be safe. God bless.